Test 1, 2, 3. Cool. Looks like we got sound and audio. All right. SEO this week. This is episode 176. I'd like to welcome everybody. Hope you don't mind. I'm sporting the regular hat versus the black hat of doom. Just because it was easier today. Anyway, today we're going to talk about CRO, voice search, and conversion, or in my content optimization process. Real quick show. Frankly, because there wasn't a whole that much interesting to talk about this week in the news cycle. So we're going to do that and then go over my content optimization process. I think a little bit more in depth than what I've covered before, just to kind of give you, this is what I'm doing and the tools, and then you'll get to see the results on Digital Ear once I actually get some image stuff going. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and switch the screen. And here's the news today. As always, you can find the links on digitalear.com. And you see I messed up, and I can do this right off the bat. Do this while you're watching. High value program out here. Jesus. If I didn't do it now, I'd forget. So anyway, so you have CRO and you have voice search. The first story is on searchenginejournal.com, and there are 1 million pop-ups. So this is written by Alina Benny, and it's actually a pretty good story. We had Robert Portillo on here before talking about conversions, and that was a good interview, and so this kind of carried over on those topics and just some things that you need to do, and reason why, if you don't know, obviously for the obvious reasons, if you know SEO, it's all great and wonderful to rank for all these terms and everything, but if you can't turn those visitors into money, then you're going to have issues, right? So we want to address that. So first is to come up with a strong headline, and think about this also in your title. Obviously you want to get keywords and all that stuff in your titles, right? But we want to actually, it's your first impression that you're going to make in SERP. So have a strong headline in your title tag as well as your H1. And think about it this way. The title tag gets them to click the site. The strong headline gets them to read the next paragraph. And if you're writing your paragraphs with the intent of getting the reader to read the next one, and think about it that way, especially when you're dealing with headings, you're gonna do just fine. Actually solving search intent. This is another one that we as marketers tend to screw up, especially if as SEOs who leverage that portion of marketing the best is search intent. We're going after traffic volumes, right? We're looking at traffic volume and cost per click. And then we're offering them a sales page, when in fact, if we had looked a little bit closer, we should have been offering them an informational piece of content that led to a sales page. So those are the kind of things that you need to address and definitely look at when you're talking about search intent and how it applies to your content. Case studies and introductions, those are all right, I guess. I would think more towards the story. Why are you doing this? But again, that also depends on the piece of content you're doing. So in the example today, you're going to see I'm running a piece of content on search engine optimization. There's not, I could throw a story in there, but it's already a long-winded topic anyway. So if I added the story to it, then who knows if that would work a little bit better. But there's something there, and it's also not for conversions. It's to inform. It's an informational piece of thing. Charts and graphs are good. Make sure your copy is readable. Duh. And as you see here, people are starting to get on with the way that the outlines are, or you should use your headings as an outline. More people are jumping on that bandwagon. I talked about it a long time ago. Kyle Roof started talking about it, and now you see everyone else is catching up. So that's good. Social proof, I don't know. These days it's kind of a iffy there. So reviews are good. That's good social proof. Talking about it from a social media perspective is a decent social proof. But I think if you're not careful, that can get also be taken as a grain of salt kind of thing. And you can see the rest of these as well. I think I've covered the ones that I like the most. The next story is from Eric Engie, and he's over at Proficient. And this is from June. I actually had to go that far to get something decent this week. And it's talking about voice search. So if you remember when voice search was popular, it was Rand Fishkin. He ran around and said that we should all be doing voice search. It's important. It's the next big thing. And then that kind of became the good thing to do, the marketer's thing to do inside of our content. And so we had to come and look at it from a perspective of everyone's going to be doing voice search. All these tools are out and these are going to be the greatest thing. And that's how the people are going to find you. Well, Rand Fishkin did a follow-up on that, and he said he was completely wrong. And it's not the end all be all that they thought it was going to be, or everyone anticipated it to be. And then Eric Enge's here, and his study has pretty much done the same thing. And I think the reason behind that is, if you're doing a voice search, think about you as a user, and you're doing a voice search, and you're doing the Hey Alexa or whatever, or Siri, and you're asking in a question, right? And then Google's going to send back or the whatever search engine is going to send back the answer in a paragraph form, or you're going to get search results. Now, if you're not in organic search, you're not going to be in that search results list. Or if it's depending on the topic, if you've not captured the featured snippet, generally you're not going to be the one, you're not going to be getting that answer. So in so much as that is, all of these searches are also all like pretty much informational stuff, other than where can I buy or that kind of thing that leads into a click to a website. For the most part, these are all informational search terms that aren't going to make you any money anyway. So what I like to do is, especially if I'm taking over a bigger client's website or working with a bigger client team, is go through in particular for voice search and find voice searches, right? So the questions and etc. And then we'll look at those and see if we actually captured featured snippets. If we're worried about the featured snippets and we're worried about the question and we're worried about voice search and to be the brand that is there with the answer when they need it, then that is there's an invaluable tip right there to do that process. So anyway, check out this video. It's not too bad, and Mr. Engie actually teaches some good stuff. So and then the transcripts here, obviously this is a short and condensed version of what he said, but I think you'll enjoy it. And that's it. 2 stories for the week. Just kind of keep it simple, stupid this week. So hope you don't mind. All right. So next I want to talk about, and I need digital ear open. Let me do that again. Oopsie. All right. So if you guys don't know, I'm doing an over the shoulder series as I'm rebuilding this agency. I've talked to you guys before about that, and I'm building a on-page optimization course at the same time. Jeez. All right. And so I've already done some city pages for lead gen. Those are already done, and I still have to do some pages for, like the big stuff here, these topics, and I'm going to clean some of these up and delete a couple of them because I just don't want to offer that service. But in the case of this one, I got to redo this page. If you don't remember, if you've never been onto my website before, this page and pretty much the entire website kind of look like this. I changed from Visual Builder to Oxygen, but I was in no rush because I was still working over the top SEO. Still busy killing it in the search results for them, and kind of just using my own domain name as a testing ground for everything else that I did over there, and that process worked out for me. But this site was left neglected, and then as a result, I lost a lot of rankings and all that madness, right? So anyway, I'm rebuilding my agency, striking it out on my own again. Because the situation of OTT changed, and it just that wasn't for me anymore, and so walked away. So All that being said, I got to rebuild all this content. And one of the pages that was really good was the search engine optimization page. And I had another one on there targeting on-page SEO, and that one generated a lot of backlinks. But for the most part, the search engine optimization one was kind of the top of funnel informational marketing page. And so I had to rebuild all that content. I started out using, and I think I've shown this before, we used Phrase and then Surfer, and I kind of changed up the way my process goes, and I wanted to show that to you. So this is the end, and there was a beginning. So the beginning of this was I took all the content that was on this page inside of all the gobbledygook, and pulled out all the actual text, and it came out to roughly 500-ish words, if that. And any of you know that ever tried to rank for a term like this, 500 words wasn't going to cut it. So in this case, so what I did was I wrote it out and actually found another outline. I like the way the outline was doing it. SEMrush, it was the example that I used, and they had this nice checklist outline, and then there's some other people that have some decent outlines, and I put it all together and kind of changed it to make it quote unquote better. If you're a Brian Dean student, you know what I did. I just found some content that was ranking really good. I made it better, right? In this case, I found my content and I made it like a bajillion times better because the last one I did, I actually put like very minimal thought into it. So I wrote it out in here, and when I was all said and done, I had roughly 3,100 keywords, 3,100 words written inside of my content. I did a little bit of formatting and stuff, but you can see there's no headings in place. I hadn't done any of that madness. It's just the content. What is the content about? What is it targeting, etc., etc. I didn't really worry about LSI, all that madness. I just wanted to make a good piece of content to rank for this particular keyword. In this case, it's what is SEO. If you know that term and you know the quality of the argument I got over there, it's like, you know, I'm never going to get a lead off of this, but I needed some relevance on my website. So we just tackled what is SEO, go big or go home kind of thing. Anyway, so the next thing I did after I had my 3,100 words is I went into Phrase and put it in here. And obviously my target keyword is search engine optimization, and wrote it out. And then Phrase went and did its thing and created a content brief for me. I didn't necessarily need that at all, but I did need the topics and maybe a little bit of the summary to give myself a decent idea of what was going on. But mainly I focused on the topics. And topics, if you don't know, depending on the tool that you're using, topics, if you can see those, happen to also be entities. Social media is an entity, right? Organic search. Most of these are actually entities that come back from the Google NLP API. I'm not entirely sure if they're using Watson, but I'm pretty sure, I'm almost positive that they're using the Google NLP API for their content brief. So, and I did that, and I came out with 3,496 words. So of my original article, I added another 300 words to it. Most of those words being using these either through replacement, changing sentences, etc. And I did it, and I just kept going until I got to 100%. I didn't necessarily match the counts. So you can see here, they have counts and then the average. I didn't necessarily match the average. A lot of these I did, but most of them I did on average or in excess of average. As you know, you don't want to optimize to the average because now you're just average, right? You want to go a little bit above and beyond. So I did go above and beyond with search engine optimization for sure as my target keyword and some other related stuff. So, and that got me to 100%. Now I'm all happy and glad. And typically what I would do at this point is take this piece of content and drop it into Surfer SEO's content editor. And then I would start out at like a 90%, like Surfer SEO would say I have 90. And I think what's going on with that is that they're using the same thing that Phrase is using, right? So I didn't get in knowing that now I don't think I got a subjective view or a different look at the pieces of content that I did. And was I scoring effectively. I was doing a great job of adding entities, right? I was doing a wonderful job of that. But I was not, in my opinion, using those tools together. I don't think that I was getting the best bang for my buck. So I heard about from the NFG FEO guys, the cognitive SEO content editor. And that's it's a little bit more expensive than Surfer, but you get some more tools, some backlink stuff, etc. in there. But in this case, we're just going to focus on the content editor. As you can see, now I have 100, but when I brought it over from this version to the content editor, I actually had a score of 75. And you see I needed a target score of 86. So the quality of the content by the algorithm from cognitive I was nowhere even near what I needed to be. So this system actually runs based off of focus keywords. So if I give it search engine optimization, then it's going to go out and find a bunch of highly related focus keywords that go under that term that I need to be using. And then it shoots out the count. And what I do with this one is there's 3 columns in here, the ones you already use, the ones you should use, and the ones you use more often. And what I do is I go after the top ones. You see these ones, these are all my top ones. And I want these to have this green bar, which means that they're like highly important keyword. And since it's search engine optimization, then damn well better be one of them, right? So and then the next step is I actually go into keywords you should use more often and fill those in. And then I go to keywords that you should use. So that's my process. So 1, 2, 3. And how I do that is look at each one of these sentences and decide where I want to put it. So I have my related list right here. And I look at each one of these sentences and I say, all right, I got to add these words. So, and this sentence doesn't have any of these highlights. Lack of highlights means that I'm lacking entities for the most part. And I pretty much want an entity in each one of my sentences that are related. Excuse me. So I go down this list, keywords you should use more often, and just pump it in. Filling out and making sure that there's an entity in just about every sentence where I can put it into. You can see in my case, I don't have every sentence. It's obviously there's some sentences you're just not going to have an entity in. It's no big deal. As long as you use that as a rule when you're going through and adding these, you need to have a sentence that doesn't have entity. Let me look and read this. Is there a word over here I can use to add to this or change to that would make it a little bit better? And the result is pretty much all of my sentences now have entities in them until you get down here towards the bottom. And then it's a little bit, subjective because, I got to the bottom. I was already at 100. What the hell else am I going to add? But, and so doing that process, it got me all the way to 100 in the content performance score. Finally, the last step is take it back into my Word document, and Grammarly has and this is a Mac, but I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure they have this on Mac or on PC. Grammarly, you can integrate your tool into Word. And I took that and I went through and pushed through all of the recommendations in here to get a 99 in Grammarly. Apparently you can't be perfect, and God knows anyone that reads any of my social posts, I'm not perfect with grammar anyway, so that would be totally unnatural. But I did it, and you see here there's one here. I don't know, I think I can get rid of that one. There we go. And now I'm at 100 again. And we've done SEO testing before, and it wasn't the grammar was a ranking factor, but it is, in my opinion, a conversion factor. And the new system over here in Grammarly, you can actually say that you're doing this informational piece of content, and you want to help inform someone. Obviously, informationally, you want to inform them, and then you want to convince them of why they need something. So you can set all those things in Grammarly, and it adjusts the grammar recommendations for you in the return. So I left here. I don't see, there's 4,000 words in this thing, in this page. And then I cleaned it up with Grammarly, and now I'm down to 3,861. So at the end of the day, I added roughly, I don't know, 700 words to my thing. And I didn't do this, and I wanted to do this just to see if there's any changes, because I'm not going to change it back. I can tell you that. Hold on. And I want to copy this back, and then I want to put it in here. And then I want to check score. I'm going to save the document, and I'm still at 100. So I cleaned out 200-ish words of fluff. I'm still at 100, and I'm still meeting the intent of what I'm doing with search. So I think that would, I think it's really good. So this is really cool. So I would recommend you guys go ahead and try this out. I'm going to have to do some testing. Like, I know that this content is better, right? It's better optimized. It has better information in it. It's got the, what the hell are you talking about? The LSI, the entities. It's highly related. It's highly targeted. And I know this content is better. And we've used this on client sites. In particular, you've heard me talk about Z-Shot. I've used a process where I went from everything I said, but I did it on Surfer. And the pages are still going up. They're going up in the rankings. I wish I could show you, but I closed all that software and it takes forever to load. But and the rankings are showing. So what I got to go do now is go back to Z-Shot, pull all that content off again. Thank God I saved everything, and then push it through Cognitive and boost it up even a little bit more, just to improve the relevancy and the quality of the content. So I can say that in a practical sense of applying this stuff, that it works. Now, I can't go scientific testing, air quotes used, and say that this tests higher than, say, you're looking at or trying to compare this to, what the hell am I thinking about? You're trying to compare this to a Surfer SEO response. You know what I mean? So it's so keep that in mind. Like, there's no pop versus Surfer versus Cognitive. Which one is better? Frick, I don't know. You know what I mean? Right now, this process here was gold to me. It took me a day to write this, a day to get it through Phrase, because, you know, boredom, social media, and YouTube. A day to get it through Cognitive because the weekend, and I didn't want to sit here and do it all at once. And then today I got this done in the morning before starting SEO this week. So roughly 3 hours. And that's a workout, 45 minutes, and 2 other short 15-minute walks in between doing all that madness too, and lunch, etc. So I would look at for you guys, what I would do is I would look at which of these setups is going to be best for you. Like, if you were smart and you jumped down the AppSumo deal for Phrase, bonus, it's perfect. Cognitive SEO, Surfer SEO, check out the UIs, and then see which one is better for you. In my opinion, the UI of the content editor here at Cognitive seems a lot better. But I've used both of them significantly, and I still recommend Surfer SEO too. If you're looking at money, Surfer is definitely cheaper. And if you don't need site explorers and SEO campaigns and all this other stuff that goes along with the Cognitive account, then just stick with Surfer. And Page Optimizer Pro, I haven't even used it for content optimization. So look at the UI and see which ones are best for you. This is my process. You can adapt this process clearly between the tools and do much the same thing. You just really got to find the one that's working for you in your market. And I think that'll be helpful. So hopefully that gave you some information, gave you some ideas about how to use Cognitive and content optimization. and my whole process there. Hopefully I gave you some value from that. A question from Mohammed Issi. Can you add your own entities LSI to Cognitive? No, not that I saw. Maybe if you get in there and do some button mashing, you could, or you can export the keyword list, which I'll talk about maybe in another webinar. But you can export it, but I have not seen where you can add to it. And I think what's happening is, and I don't know, I didn't ask the support people. What I think was happening is they go and they look at the results. Let me see if I can bring it over here. No, I don't want this window. I want to go back. Yeah, it's going to force me to open the document. I don't want to open the document. Let me go back. It takes so long. I don't want to do it. But anyway, you put in your term, right? You pick your US, and then it gives you, I want to say it's like 20 of the search results. So I think it's going in and bringing all those search results together and then pulling out through the list and then mashing it together and saying these are all mentioning these words and then sorting that way. That's how I think that's how that's doing. So that's the long-winded answer to say no, you can't add them, because then you're not optimizing for what Google is using right now in their algorithm, quote unquote, assuming to rank pages. So I think that's that's probably a good thing at this point. Let's see. I've tested out Surfer this SEO this week. We have a demo plan. I should probably check out Cognitive too. Surfer's good. Don't get me wrong. I like the UI. I recommend it in my courses. I still have an affiliate link for it. I no longer have a subscription for it just because if I'm using Cognitive now, then I don't need Surfer, right? So, but Surfer is good. So if you want a lower budget tool and you want to implement some of their on-page stuff, then by all means try Surfer. I think honestly, if you have like a Page Optimizer Pro account or you're using the Cora Lite and then you need a content optimizer, I don't know. I kind of lean over to Cognitive, but we got SEO Rockstars coming, and Michael from Surfer SEO is going to be talking, and hopefully I can get some one-on-one with him and compare and contrast these two tools and see why which one's better, or even maybe get him on the show. That would be cool. Let's see. Next question. Do you ever do A/B testing with page titles? Kinda. Brian Dean actually had a plugin that changed that, and then I also use Google Optimize to play around with those some. But for the most part, that's a CTR thing, right? So what is the title that's going to not only one have my keyword in it, but how am I going to generate a click from it? So it's a little bit hard. Like if I rank number one, do I really want to be dinking with the title and then cause it to drop to number 4 because I was messing with the title because I thought that I needed something better for CTR? I'd rather mess with the meta description, to be completely honest. So yes, I've messed with A/B testing, but I would probably do that in a different way. And that way would be to use Twitter and change the titles in Twitter. And this really only works if you have got a good, some good engagement, but you can use any social media you want to. Twitter's the example. Change the titles in your social media accounts and see which ones generate the most clicks, and then change your page title to that. Would be probably way better than to focus on something that is the number 1, number 2 ranking factor and dick with that, and then wonder why you lost your page 1 rankings or your position 1 rankings just for changing the title around. Does cognitive give weighting to entities? One in title, two times the H1 list items. No, it does not. And that's where your Cora Lite, or Page Optimizer Pro, or Surfer is going to come into play. Setting up those H1 outlines and stuff. I did a talk. I think it was the last show where I did the content outline for my writers. Right. That's where all that stuff comes from. And just in this case, I started the other way around because I'm writing it. So I didn't put H1s and all that madness in there because I'm not paying a legitimate writer to do something. I did it myself. Okay, and let's see the demos with Michael. Good. Tell him I said hi. I'm looking forward to seeing him at SEO Rockstars. And on that note, if you guys have not attended, SEO Rockstars was the first conference I ever spoke at. That's when Kyle Ruth and Dory Friend were running it. Before that, it was a Dory Friend ran conference, and that's how Kyle Ruth became popular. He did his presentation on testing inside of the SEO Rockstars, and then Dory promoted him and inside of SEO Nitro. It promoted him online and promoted him SEO Rockstars in the recordings, and then they partnered up and started SEO Intelligence Agency, of which now Dory and I are partners. SEO Rockstars is going to be on the November 17th, 18th, and 19th. We're already seeking out speakers. We've hit the list of speakers that we really want to hear from. If you could, I would like you to put some pressure on Dino Gomez and Matt Diggity and tell them to say yes to our invitation, for crying out loud. Those are the two that we really would like to hear from that are still outstanding on our invite list. The other ones that we have already heard from include Perry Belcher from digitalmarketer.com, Mike Long from OMGs, and now I think I'm pretty sure he's on his own doing more affiliate stuff. So Mike Long's going to be speaking. We're going to hear from Ryan Stewart from Webris, now the Blueprint.training. You heard me recommend him a whole lot. So he's going to be there. Who else are we going to have? Let me open this Slack. I closed it just in advance. Let me open my list of awesomeness. We're going to have, where's the list? Hold on. We're trying to get Greg Morrison, OMG. You guys know him. Bring the Fresh, OMG. We're trying to get him. He's still a maybe right now. But we have Marty Marion, Leon Sheed, Michael Susky from SEO Surfer, Dixon Jones from Inlinks, formerly a Majestic, Jerry West. That guy is like my, if I paid anyone to be my mentor, if I could drop some money and say, please be my mentor and teach me and make me even better than I already am, that would pick Jerry West. We're going to have Terry Samuels. He's going to talk. We're going to have his wife, Elizabeth Samuels. She's going to talk. She's a web designer, and she's going to talk to us about design trends, etc. Carolyn Holtzman, formerly of OTT with me. She's now on her own, building her own agency, just like I am. She's going to be there. Marie Isaias is going to be there. Probably going to talk about on-page optimization. I haven't worked that one out yet. Matt Verstig is going to be there. Bill Hartzer, domains, obviously. Ted Kapitis. Lisa... Oh man, Lisa, I want to say her last name properly. Let me open it. Hold on. We're waiting. Lisa Parzeli. She's going to be there. She's going to be talking about sales stuff. She's got a new program out. So this will be really timely for her. I'll be speaking. I tried to get Dory Friend to speak, but she changed the labels and made it so that I would speak. Brian Dean will be there. Mike and Brad from NFG SEO will be there. Roger Bryan, he's from Infusion. Keith Evans and Moon from Marie Isasis partner Moon. She's going to be there too. They will be speaking separately. Moon's going to talk about affiliate stuff. So if you could, here's the people I'd like you to help me out in securing for this conference. Matt Diggity, PM him, blow him up. Hey, you need to say yes and do the conference for SEO Rockstars. I know he's in Thailand. I know Rockstars in the US. I know it's going to be live, but we can. I've already told Matt that he can record a video. So, and I know he just did a presentation for like 15,000 people online. So you should have no problem knocking out SEO Rockstars in our piddly little group. Steve Toth. We're waiting on an answer from him. FreshBooks SEO, SEO notebook, and I think it'd be good to hear from him. In particular, transitioning from SEO, like for an agency, to himself, and then also building this cool list. But we'll see what he talks about. And Monique Rice, we're waiting for an answer from her. She is a 6-figure seller up in Seattle for SEO, web design, etc. I'm not talking like 6-figure a year kind of thing. She's doing like 6 figures a month selling SEO, and she's still doing it during COVID. So I think that's someone that we certainly want to hear from. And then I got one invite out to Marie Haynes. You know her from Eat. We're trying to get Michael King, but he looks like he's kind of one of those paid speakers. Matthew Woodward, we pretty much got him locked in. And Greg Morrison is another outstanding, so hit him up too. And hopefully that this year is going to be a beast when it comes to our conference. Let's see. What? No, Josh? No, Josh. I don't know. I don't even think he would accept if we even sent the invitation. But let's see. Brian Dean. Yep, really. We're gonna have Brian Dean. He just said yes today. As a matter of fact, I only got word. It will be an online event, so everyone can come. We're still deciding if we want to do it in Mountain Standard Time. That's where I'm at in Phoenix, or Pacific Standard Time. It's kind of our big old FU to the east side. it's where we live, right? So but we still haven't decided which time zone we're going to do it at, but it's going to be a 9 to 5 thing. We're going to do the presentations on GoToWebinar, and then we're going to have a meeting room inside of Remo. If you've been to SEO Spring Training, that platform for Remo, that's where we're going to hold our, like, you want to get together and talk to people and all that stuff. We'll have a room over at Remo, so you can do that too. And the reason is the GoToWebinar recordings actually just come out better than the Remo stuff. So that's why we're going to leverage the two platforms, and I think it's going to be good. Let's see. And in Everhard, it seems there are so many SEO rock stars in Ausis, and they aren't you. Yeah. We want to do a separate show. We always wanted to have, since I partnered with Dory, we always wanted to have 2 shows. One in the US, obviously, and then one in Europe, or Australia would actually be good too. That'd be like 2 good options, but COVID threw a monkey wrench in our plans, so we're going to have this one. We're going to do it online. We're going to rebuild and relaunch SIA and the whole funnel system and everything that's going on behind that. And then we'll focus on doing a separate conference wherever they let us travel to. So we'll see how that works out in the future. So, all right. So there you go. I let the cat out of the bag, as it were, for SEO Rockstars. Stay tuned. I'll get you some more information as we handle all that stuff and put that all together. And then hopefully the content editor stuff was useful to you. Please go out, implement it, and try it out. It'll work. Let's see. Have you had any experience trying to promote viral protection products with PCP? Where a lot of problems with Google Ads, new website, and organic traffic? Oh, yeah. Not really. And really, honestly, it's like a gambler casino market at this point, right? Because you have like the Mac users were used to that Mac doctor or whatever hell that thing was called, and they have this piece of software that says your thing is broken, and then you pay for the support, and you get some guy from India that you were supposed to give 100% access to your Mac to, and he would fix it. That kind of crowd, and it's kind of along the same way with with PCs too, right? So it's I would think that market is a lot higher and probably more expensive, and they're actually keeping an eye on it a lot better than they were, say, a local plumber, for example, that kind of stuff. So unfortunately, no, I would probably defer you to Derek Pierce. I think that's his name. Let me get his Derek, Dereck. Derek Booth. Jeez, I screwed that all up. Seek out and find Derek Booth on the Facebooks, or SIA. You can join there. I think he's running around in there still. And you can, he's like the guy that I would go to for PPC questions in that regards, just because he does so many accounts, so much way more than I do, that's for sure. So, all right. Any more questions? Are we all good? I think we're all good. Okay. Thanks a lot. Please use the content editing process. Check it out. See if it works for you. It seems to be working for me, and I hope you have a good week. We'll see you next week. This has been SEO This Week, episode 176.